Rise Against returned for their 10th studio album called Ricochet, with a single on it called Ricochet that has got a music video. And the twist is, I have actually never listened to Rise Against before in my life. I have been to music festivals where Rise Against have been there, but for some reason I've not been intentionally avoiding them. I have never managed to make that one work. There's always been something else I wanted to see. I don't have any like immediate friends that are like particularly into Rise Against. They strike me as an element I will probably like. I have just never gotten around to it. So with the new album coming out, it seemed like a really good opportunity to give them a go. I'm going to listen to the song Ricochet and we'll have a look at the music video together, and we'll see, maybe this is the beginning of something special. Maybe I will fall in love, or maybe I'm going to really piss off everyone who's clicked on this by not liking it all that much. There is only one way to find out, because honestly, it's crazy. I couldn't even tell you the specific kind of like subgenre that they're meant to be. I know they're rocky, I know they're heavy. To be fair, it is true that I got my sort of like heavier metal phase out of the way quite late in my life by most people's standards. You know, I would imagine most metalheads were like headbanging at 12. I was a little indie kid. I was listening to the Chili Peppers and the Mystery Jets and Knowing the Whales and stuff like that. So I didn't discover metal till I was a bit older, till I was sort of 17, 18, which does mean I kind of managed to miss a lot of the like super angsty stuff, a lot of the emo-y, early noughties, like that scene. I just completely, I didn't have anything to do with Black Veil Brides or Yumi at 6 or any of these other ones. I'm sorry, those are the songs that are bands I just pulled out of my ass based on what I can remember being talked about when I was at school, but I just completely missed all of it. And I don't know, getting into metal when I was kind of like 18, 19, I thought I was a little bit too cool for school, so you know, I immediately jumped into sort of like more Rammstein and Metallica-y stuff, so I just never had a phase where I listened a lot to what I assume Rise Against possibly fall into genre-wise. I'm not sure. I might be completely, again, talking out of my ass. In fact, I definitely am. So, rather than hypothesize, let's just jump in, listen to Ricochet, and we'll see how I feel about it, I guess. I did have a quick look at some reviews, and this album seems to have been fairly well regarded by people in the know. Even though I did hear that it's a little bit like their sound hasn't evolved a whole lot, so I guess it's hopefully a fairly good exemplar of what I'm in for if I listen to any random Rise Against song. Ooh, political stuff. Okay. Quite like the way the acoustic was introduced there, though. Okay, well, immediately, I'm assuming this is probably going to turn heavier, but the intro is quite nice, actually. I like his voice, and I quite like the way that the sort of like quite, it's not quietly mixed, but it's quietly played. Acoustic is like very, I think it's a bit palm muted maybe, but it's got this kind of like intensity to it, which is nice. And then so far, there's a couple of little rounds on the lead guitar, which is nice for bringing up this kind of this is suspense feeling, but it definitely reminds me of something that I'm really struggling to put exactly my finger on. We'll see if I get it.
I thought you knew me better. I thought this rain would let up someday, but maybe I was wrong again.
So it's going to be a performance video, I guess, but in front of a projector, which is it's kind of cool. The visuals are interesting, and sometimes when, especially for me being a like new introduction to the band, it's kind of nice to sort of see what they look like as people. Okay. Man, this chord sequence is getting in my ear. I don't know if there's a website, probably there's a way of looking it up. I'm sure there is. I'm not good enough to pick that one out in the moment. But I have heard this kind of way that, the progression here is definitely tickling and itching a bit in my brain somewhere that has heard something like this before. But this is not what I was expecting. I don't know whether or not maybe this particular song is not typical of them or not, because it's way more kind of like chilled out and sort of, I was going to say intellectual sounding. Not so sure about that. It's definitely hitting a little bit of cliche in my opinion. Like the sort of lyrics with the like raise your hands and whilst you've got, you know, the sort of like revolutionary B-roll being played in the background while they kind of like look stoically into the camera. It's a little bit on the nose, but I will admit, tone-wise, I'm actually quite enjoying this. It's kind of quiet intensity. If it earns and builds up into like a really heavy section towards the end, which again I'm sort of expecting to happen, we'll see. Then I feel like it's going to earn it. his voice is really. I mean, I was gonna say weird, but that sounds like it's an insult. It's not meant like that. But I will admit, I don't think I've heard someone who sounds like specifically like him. He's got a lot of interesting influences there. Like the kind of vocal fry kicks in occasionally. He's almost a bit punk rocky. There's almost a little bit Zeppelin in there, to be honest. Like I'm getting a little bit, maybe not Zeppelin, maybe more kind of like solo Robert Plant, maybe. But I'm getting a little bit of that in there. It's kind of like shrill to some degree, but passionate. It kind of reminds me a little bit of sort of like early noughties metal bands. It's got a bit of little Nickelback in there, that kind of thing. But it's actually quite unique. I quite like it.
So don't turn away when the bullets ricochet.
Not huge on that last note there, though. The way that he kind of like wavered just about in tune, but yeah, I don't know. The second half of that chorus was way less grabbing, I think.
Are we in trouble right now, or did we let it get too far away?
These verses, they're giving me Robert Plant. I know this is probably a huge compliment, and Led Zeppelin fans are probably like looking for their pitchforks, but it really reminds me there's a specific song, which I know on the surface maybe not right. In fact, a regular at my pub showed me, called 29 Palms by Robert Plant. I think it's probably just the combination of the way his voice is sitting over that acoustic guitar. I really like it, though. I was not expecting to be drawing Zeppelin comparisons. That's so naughties. It's so freaking naughties. It does make me chuckle when you get that second like vocal line that's kind of comes. I'm currently going on a bit of a Charlie Simpson hype thing at the moment. So I was listening back to some Fight Star, and it's absolutely the same thing where you have like one guy goes away and someone else in the background goes away, and they kind of overlap each other. I know that's not exactly what they did there, but it's so of its time. I quite like it, but you've got to use that shit sparingly. But I did quite like the extended sort of like drum break before the chorus came in the second time round. That was nice. It added a little bit of variation, kind of like, because you've had it once through where you just got one repeat of it, so you're kind of waiting for it to happen, and then you get that second extra bit of drum fillage mixed in with that super angsty vocal overdub. To be fair, was laughing at the vocal overdubs just then, but they work really nicely in this chorus. They're subtle enough. They've got one person just matching a harmony, I think, which is cool, I think. And then there's just a straight, like, singing. Someone's just holding a note, going on in the background. And then there's someone doing some slight delayed, like, vocal variety on there as well, which is super nice. It kind of, like, thickens up that sound, but it's mixed in really well, so it's not overbearing, because sometimes you can get a little bit too much, just shit being thrown left and right. That's not what's happening here, and I actually really like that a lot. And then sort of like the guitars and stuff, the backing is clever, but it's way more understated than I expected it to be. Yeah, still not a fan of the way that they exit from that chorus, though. It's a shame. I think the second half of it is way less strong than the first half.
Sheltering unaccompanied immigrant children.
Potential pre-monsoon rains have unleashed deadly flash flood.
Begun discharging up to a...
I get it. I understand that the world sucks and there's lots of social discourse and awful things happening to minorities and whatever across many countries, but it's just a little bit... not cringe, it's like worthy, you know, it's a bit virtue signally for me. This is like, now it's so cliche. Let's just play these, like, you know, fake news report, maybe they're fake, I don't know, but these news reports over in the background that's gonna just talk about all the civil unrest going on at the moment. It's kind of the vibe I thought this was going with, especially with the lyric video, or the music video, sorry, having lots of flags being waved and militant people going around looking like they're not doing a good thing. And yeah, I don't know, I find stuff that is a little bit too like, but the world is bad. It's probably me just being like a really bitter arsehole, because what are you gonna do? At least these guys are trying to bring attention to stuff. Maybe I should not allow my cynicism to step over this, but yeah, I'm finding this section a little bit on the cringe side. I've just figured out another person his voice reminds me of. He reminds me a little bit of the guy from the Dropkick Murphys. There's a lot of, like, you going on here. Also, I know it's just very minor gripe, but I find it frustrating when music videos like this are lit from the back. Can't see the guy's goddamn face. I'm not gonna lie, making a thumbnail for this is probably gonna be a pain. I'm gonna have to tweak it a lot. Okay. Nice pull out. And the visual with the moon at the end was nice. Okay, I like that song so much more than I thought I was going to. I'm going to go ahead and guess now that a lot of people in the comments are going to tell me that this is not that typical of their sound. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I get the feeling if I go on Spotify right now and click their most listened to song, it's going to be way more heavy than this. I don't know. But yeah, I actually really liked lots of aspects of that. I did find the kind of like lyrical content and the sort of music video part of it to be a bit cringe. I didn't like the radio overdubs. The lyrics over the choruses or whatever, they're kind of a bit generic, but it's fine. I loved his vocal delivery, though. I really did, with the exception of the out bit coming out from that chorus. I don't quite know why that didn't land for me. It wasn't that he was out of tune, but it was that, yeah, I know. I found that a little bit not great, but I did like the chorus a lot for the most part. The way that the sort of like more understated, sort of suppressed guitar lines came in was like, for the verses was really nice. It gave that transition into the chorus, this kind of like lovely angst. And, you know, the delivery was definitely impassioned. It definitely kind of spoke in the genre that he's talking about in this sort of like social discourse kind of thing. I just find that stuff a bit cringe, especially from people who look like they're in at least their 40s. I'd expect it from a 17-year-old on TikTok. I will probably save that song. This part of me is really hoping to find out that those radio overdubs for the bridge are actually just for the music video. So I'm going to quickly find this song on Spotify and test that theory. Ah, okay, theory proven. I think that those overdubs were only for the music video. That is very good news, because it means I can listen to the songs. I think I'd find that a bit annoying if I had to listen to it every single time. But if that's just for the music video, that changes my opinion of it quite a lot. I still think it's a bit overbearing. I still think it's a bit cringe, but it not being baked into the song makes a huge difference for me. So yeah, cool. Thanks for sticking with me. Sorry if I've upset any Riots Against fans whilst the course of making this. Do let me know in the comments. What do you guys think of this particular song? How does it stack up as a comparison for a normal Rise Against song? I get the feeling it's not going to be a great indication, so let me know in the comments what would be. Give me a couple of suggestions, some songs that might get me into them. Bearing in mind that I did actually quite like that one, so yeah, if there's stuff that sounds like this in their catalogue, let me know, that would be great. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that crazy stuff. Follow me on the socials. I believe it's Renz Music on Instagram. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace!